If you're wanting to buy or sell here in Orange County, there's a couple new things that you're definitely going to want to know, and it could save you a whole lot of money. But first, I am a realtor here in Orange County, so if you are looking to buy or sell, make sure to reach out to me. All my information will be in the description below, but I will also put my number right here. That way you can easily give me a quick text or a call. But now we'll get back into the video. So number one is Trump just appointed a new Fed chairman. Now this isn't a political idea, but the basic idea is that Trump appointed a Fed chairman who is very happy to cut rates. And the basic idea is when the Fed does cut rates, it does create a little bit of motion in the mortgage market. Now, it isn't necessarily dependent on it, but it does affect it in ways. So for instance, if you look at last year, anytime the Fed announced that they were going to be cutting rates, the mortgage market pre-baked that in. However, actually, once they cut the rates, typically they went a little bit higher. But if we have a Fed chairman who's going to be announcing a lot of Fed rate cuts, we're likely going to see the mortgage market continue to go down, which is great for housing affordability. Number two is buyers have more negotiation power than we've seen in years. The typical buyer last year actually got 8% off of the list price, and 1 in 4 buyers got under 10% of the list price. If we look back at the 2020 and 2021 season in real estate, you had to be writing 10% over the ask price just to get your offer accepted. Now we have that inverse where you actually can get a lot of savings when you're going to buy a home. So for buyers, it's fantastic, and for sellers, you want to make sure that you're pricing appropriately, or else you're going to be not getting nearly as much money as you were thinking. Number three is there are more sellers than buyers by a record margin. Right now, we actually have 47% more sellers than we do have buyers, which is huge. And that kind of tails back to why the buyers are getting such good deals right now, is because we're just being so outweighed by the sellers. So right now, if you are a buyer, lean into the power that you do have. Understand that there's more sellers out there than there are buyers. If you're a seller, you need to be really realistic in your pricing. Number four is deal cancellations are at a record high, which really just adds to this whole idea of the buyers having so much more power, because right now, what sellers want are buyers that are serious and buyers that won't back out. So if you can find a home that's been on the market for a lot of days, they've maybe gone through 1 or 2 different escrows, you're gonna find a very motivated seller where you can save 10% or more off of that home. And with that, because we're having these high cancellations, you might be saying, well, why? One of the main reasons that a lot of people argue is just because of more economic uncertainty. Buyers are getting great deals on homes, but just because there's so much going on in the overall market, that's why we're seeing a lot of these cancellations and escrows. Fifth and finally is Gen Z and millennials are actually coming back into the market. Now, they're not buying homes nearly as much as our parents were. However, those numbers are slowly getting higher. It's not anywhere where they need to be, but younger people are starting to get into the market because the affordability is getting better. For instance, right now we're sitting at the low 6s, right, 6.2% today as I'm recording this on February 3rd. And this time last year we were starting above 7%. So the affordability is great. Prices are pretty much the same. So the mortgage rates have gone down, prices have remained relatively similar. And that's why we're starting to see more young people getting into the market, which is really encouraging. But those are the 5 main things you need to know before buying or selling here in Orange County. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, because we release videos every single month, just like this one. But as always, thank you so much for tuning into this week's video. Can't wait to see you in the next one. We'll talk soon.